All right, let's talk about the Chicago Bears and the absolute disaster that we saw take place on Sunday in Justin Fields' first start against the Cleveland Browns. Now, I hear everybody saying they're just going after Nagy, fire Nagy, fire Nagy. And I'm going to tell you the honest God truth. I believe they have to fire Nagy as well. And I think they should fire Nagy sooner rather than later. But I don't believe they need to fire Nagy for the exact same reasons that some of the other people are saying. I heard Dan Orlovsky on ESPN literally say that this is either an example of incompetence or it is an example of someone doing something on purpose. Like literally, he's setting Justin Fields up to fail. I understand the emotion of the situation and how someone can feel that. Obviously, I was born and raised in Chicago, grew up a Bears fan. I get it, right? But I always like to ask myself, what would be the point of that from Matt Nagy's standpoint? Why would he literally want this young man to fail? He doesn't stand to gain anything by this. Matt Nagy's still a very young coach. He can get another opportunity to be a head coach even if this one's over. He's going to want obviously another job more than likely in football after this. That would be a pretty nasty thing to have on a resume. So I don't see how that helps him. So I don't think he needs to be fired for something like that. But what I think he needs to be let go for is because the ship has sailed with that coach and this group of players, with that coach and this city. Not everything that Matt Nagy has done during his time in Chicago has been a failure, but enough of it has been, in conjunction with Ryan Pace, the general manager, that it is literally just time to move on. Now, Ryan Pace is not going to fire himself. He does need to let go of Matt Nagy. I don't know if they're looking at this as some sort of package deal, both in at the same time, both have to leave at the same time. I'm not sure if Ryan Pace is on that, and he needs to absolutely go at the same time. But assuming that's not the case, the right move for the Bears right now, because you got to think about Justin Fields and his future. The right move right now is to turn to Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator, and say, hey, Bill, we're going to let Matt go. Bill's already dropped some comments earlier this year that would suggest he's kind of thrown Nagy under the bus a bit. But I would approach Bill Lazor and say, hey, man, we're not going to offer you the permanent head coaching job right now. We'll offer you this as an interim. You'll obviously be the play caller. The Bears had some success late in the season last year when Bill Lazor was the play caller, before Matt Nagy took the responsibilities back over from Bill Lazor. So the benefit in doing this is that you're not introducing an entirely new system to Justin Fields in the middle of a season, which that wouldn't be done anyway. There's not going to be any head coach that could come in and implement an entire new system. It just won't happen. But you keep some level of cohesion going with Justin Fields, who is the most important player in your franchise at this point. You got to make sure that he's still taken care of. But I can no longer subject him to either the stubbornness or the incompetence that we've seen from Matt Nagy. To me, those are the two things. Those are the two qualities, so to speak, that we're seeing from Nagy. He's either too stubborn to make a change, or he's literally too incompetent to see that what you're doing isn't working. And I lean more towards the stubbornness aspect, because many of these coaches, they're geniuses in one right, and because they know their art so well, they know their discipline so well, they refuse to take these suggestions from what would be considered laymen, fans and the like, and certain members of the media, myself included. Not going to take those suggestions. I've been in football for 20 years. I've been in football for 30 years. What are you going to tell me? Well, oftentimes they get just a little bit too smart for their own good. We even saw this on the other side of the field. Kevin Stefanski on Sunday goes for it twice on fourth down. Now, maybe just because he just knew that the Bears offense wasn't going to be able to do anything at all. But he goes for it twice on fourth down. The second time they go for it on fourth down, you got Nick Chubb and a pretty dominant offensive line. 4th and 1, they try to run some trickery, mixed direction play, bootlegging Baker Mayfield out wide. The Bears are getting great pressure throughout most of the first half, and it ends up being a disaster. So it's not Matt Nagy is the only coach that's overthinking things. Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl, instead of just handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch. This kind of thing happens. So I don't think there's a situation where there's a devious thing happening or this malice involved. It's a lot of times it's just pure stubbornness. Nagy had a plan. I'm going to start with Andy Dalton. If we get to a certain place, I'm going to go to Justin Fields. That plan has not taken its course, and I think that Nagy is literally suffering from having to break away from what he originally wanted to do, and he certainly doesn't want to do anything simply because the fans and the media are pushing him to it. I think it's more about being stubborn than wanting Justin Fields to fail.